this $2 million nightmare of a pre-construction. I don't think you want to be in this mess, but let me explain to you what happened. For those of you who are revisiting my channel, thank you for tuning in. For those of you who are new, my name is Romana. I'm your realtor. A little background on the story. Supposedly these homes were purchased for about $2 million. They're located in Brampton, Ontario in the GTA. The developers are Paradise Developments. They were bought back in October 2021 where COVID was still very high. So we had the COVID housing inflation still going on. Currently, the banks are appraising them at $1.7 million, so you're already lost at $300,000 in value, and they haven't even closed yet. The approximate deposit given is about $260,000, somewhere $260,000 to $300,000. I want to explain to you who might be at fault. Is it the builder? Is it the buyer? Or is it even the realtor? Who's at fault? Some people might not even use a realtor, so they can't be at fault at that point. I think neither the buyer or the builder is at fault. The buyer purchased and they understood that they're purchasing a $2 million home. This is the height of COVID. This is pre-construction, so in 2 years' time, we don't know what's going to happen. That was the gamble they were willing to take, and the builder had to cover the cost increase in materials to even produce this house in general, so they can't really be at fault either. If you use a realtor, is a realtor at fault then? You can't really blame the realtor either. Hopefully they explain to you the risk of doing pre-construction during COVID. What would the ramification happen if you don't close? The amount of money that's going to be tied up. How is this money going to get there? How are you paying for it? So what do you think can happen if you don't close on the property? Well, probably the first thing and probably the biggest thing, you'll lose your deposit. You are already down almost $250,000 to $300,000 in the deposit in the house. That's going to be gone. There might be lawsuits, whether the builder or somebody else suing because you didn't close on the property. I think I haven't heard much that's going to happen, but you never know. They might, if everybody, supposedly they have 20 people that are having this issue, that might happen, because that's a lot of money the builder is losing right there. But what can be the next steps for these individuals? Well, most pre-constructions, you need a pre-approval letter from the bank or a mortgage broker or somebody who says that yes, this person can afford this property. For the people who were barely affording it at that time, now they're really stressed because the rates are so high. Most of the people who got Schedule 1 banks, like the TDs, the RBC, and they got pre-approval straight from them, they might be okay right now, because then they just drop down to a Schedule 2 bank and try to get pre-approval from them right now. Rates are higher, but you still get pre-approval, you can still close on this property. For those of you who didn't, they might have to go maybe private lending. Then the rates are very high at that point, but you don't have a choice. You rather do private lending, hold on to the property, pay a lot of interest on it, but then sell it a little bit down the line and see if you recover all those costs. Instead of losing $260,000, you might only lose $50,000 or $100,000. Better than losing everything, right? And especially for those who sold their house already and were like, I'm going to sell my house and then put all my money into this pre-construction. Now they're even more screwed right now because they don't have anywhere to stay. They don't have a own home they own, so they can't sell that home and use that money to be put back into pre-construction because they already did that. So pretty much you're left at private lending at that point just to cover the cost of the home and whatever the mortgage is not covering. A third thing could be assignment sales. Assignment sales are hard in general. A lot of developers don't like when people advertise assignment sales because it shows like people are not wanting to keep these properties. Bad stigma on the developers. But if you're able to get assignment sales, you could get out of this whole mess and probably walk away with a small loss and not have to worry. But it's very hard to get assignment sale, so that's also a difficult part. So there's three options: Schedule B bank, maybe private lending, and assignment sales. that's pretty much your only options. You're not getting that deposit back unless you really fight for it, lawsuits and trying to go after them as probably a collective of people. Then you might be able to get your deposit back, but even that, probably not. These pre-construction homes are getting approved for 1.7 right now, so you already have $260,000 in a deposit, $300,000 in deposit, plus you have to come up with another $300,000 match the contract cost of the property, because the banks won't give you that amount. Few steps to avoid falling in this pre-construction nightmare. Step number 1, use an experienced realtor. We do all the research for you. We tell you the houses in that area that are resale, what are they selling for. We explain to you all the additional costs for pre-construction. We explain to you the payment structure. We look at how we are getting this money for the payment structure. Are you selling your home? Are you thinking about selling it 2 years down the line? What's the market look like right now? Are the rates going up? Are the rates going down? We give you the advice you require to make an informative decision. And we tell you directly if we think it's a bad idea. At least I would tell you directly if we think it's a bad idea, just the way your situation is. I know everybody saw it was, unfortunately, it was an Uber driver who was purchasing this house. Maybe if he got the pre-approval, we should have tried putting him in a resale because he has a lower rate locked in, instead of trying to go into a pre-construction, which your rates might change in 2 years' time. Step number 2 to avoid is you have to realize that your pre-approval does expire. We have to determine that when it comes time to actually close on your pre-construction, you're probably going to have to go through the mortgage process again because your letter will most likely be expired. It's okay to go through it if the markets were steady, but because it was COVID time and the markets were all inflamed, we could assume that the rates will be changing. We didn't know if it was going higher, it was going super high, it was going low, we don't know. But we can explain to you what would happen if the rates did go up like you see it did now. We can explain to you what would happen if you can't close. What would the best bet be? These items the realtor can show you. Step number 2, you gotta realize that your pre-approval does expire. In 2 years down the line, when you get your pre-construction, you might have to go through the process again, and the rates will most likely change. Whether it's up or down, I'm not sure, but the rates will change, and you gotta plan for that just in case. What would happen? Did the original pre-approval come from a Schedule A bank? I don't know. Did it go to a Schedule 2 bank? I don't know. But we could explain to you what the potential is if we have to fall back and go under private lending. Step number 3, you have to plan for the future. Pre-construction always is a couple years down the line. So is it you're selling your home now to pay for the pre-construction for the future, or are you holding on to your home, taking out all the equity, heading into your pre-construction purchase, and then you're going to sell your home before moving to your pre-construction? What's the difficulty of doing that? Potentially being like, it's a lot of time builders change the date of occupancy because they just haven't got it yet, so they have to be like, oh, we'll give you occupancy in 2 months. We sit down and talk about what is the reason you're purchasing. Is it just you want a bigger house, or is it investment property? Is it you're upgrading? Is it you want to flip it, maybe to try to assignment sale? And step number 4 is think about buying resale instead of going to pre-construction. Everybody wants a brand new house because it's really nice, but resale might be more beneficial for you. All of them kind of fall into get a good realtor because this is what we explain. This is what our job is. But what do you think? Do you think the builder should give back their money and try reselling it at a different price? Do you think the buyer is at fault for not understanding that you signed the contract? Or is it the realtor that didn't explain to you? Who do you think is at fault? Is it us? Is it you, or is it the builder? Comment down below, let me know. All my information, if you want to get in touch, is in my description. My name is Romana. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next time, guys.